Two, one. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another exciting film journey here on Delusions of Grandeur. I am one of your hosts, and today I bring you a little known film that was filmed in 1957. Um, and it was directed by none other than Edward D. Wood Jr., who kind of became known as the schlockiest director in the independent film industry. Uh, Mostly known for his guerrilla um, film ways of making film, which means sneaking inside studios without permission and using land that we probably shouldn't have been filming on. Type of director.
Oh,
um,
interesting.
so he did not exactly do everything by the book. He stole, he used, reused whatever he could to make his films. So, um, but this particular film, um, well, let's see what IMDb says about it. It is called Plan 9 from Outer Space. IMDb says evil aliens attack Earth and set their terrible Plan 9 into action. As the aliens resurrect the dead of the Earth, the lives of the living are in danger. So, uh, film stars Gregory Wolcott, Tom Keane, Mona McKinnon, Duke Moore, Carl Anthony, Paul Marco, Tor Johnson, Dudley Menlove, Joanna Lee, Bunny Breckenridge, Lyle Tabot, I believe Vampira, Conrad Brooks, and Bela Lugosi in his last surviving role, the last movie that anyone that was ever able to film Bela Lugosi in, because he died during the filming of this, if I remember correctly. So, heading into first impression territory. Um, Boris, was this the first time watch for you?
Yes, it was the first time, and I have mixed thoughts and feelings about the movie. Uh, One interesting thing I noticed was many similarities with some of the old shot on video movies directed by Joe Sherlock. And now I think that he probably took some inspiration from this movie, which I think is quite interesting. Uh, Other than that, I would actually say, regarding the fact that the movie was made in 1957, I would say it's actually not that bad, but I would say I kind of wish there was less talk and more action throughout the film. Uh, but
Okay.
all in all, I would say it wasn't really that bad regarding what time it was made.
Okay. Is that pretty
And
much it for your first
uh,
impressions then?
one thing that might be worth mentioning is I'm not sure if you watched the black and white or the colorized version, but I watched the colorized one. And there were moments where you could kind of see that colorization was used, but I would say it was still done rather well.
Okay. Heading over to you, Tammy. Was this the first time watch for you?
No, we watched it before.
Okay. And what were your thoughts on it this time around?
It's strange.
Okay. Anything else?
Um, I don't know. It's just because of certain things and stuff that it is just kind of like really strange or weird or whatever you want to say about how it's made or how it's acted or whatever. But I mean, it was amusing.
Okay,
Not
at least it
it
was.
was not scary, but it was amusing.
Yeah, that's
Definitely not scary.
no, definitely not. But this was done in a time and age when people were scared of like everything,
Aliens.
aliens, the thought of them. I mean, the thing about like this movie that it gets me, and I'll get into my first impression here in a moment. Is that you know I'm watching this again for like the third or fourth time, and I am thoroughly amused by how everyone is scared of this flying saucer when it's done absolutely nothing to them. It hasn't attacked them. It was just trying to communicate with them. So in all reality, I was rooting for the aliens in this one. So
uh, Actually, me too. I was just about to say this IMDb description is kind of misleading when it says evil aliens. I actually
most,
didn't get.
well, yeah, most science fiction features, um, especially from the 1950s, you're supposed to fully believe that the Earthlings on Earth, if it has anything to do with aliens, you're supposed to believe in humankind. You're supposed to believe in Earth. You're supposed to be on the side of the Earthlings, you know, because you're supposed to be scared of the aliens. It's not happening for me, or it didn't happen for me. Um, and uh, I enjoy this movie, not just because um, just because Edward D. Wood Jr. He would steal from studio time or creep onto studio lots and film what he could. I mean, at the time that this was filmed, Bela Lugosi was in a pretty sad state in real life. He was a drunk and homeless, if I remember correctly. So giving him a role to make him feel like he used to, I mean, studios had pretty much abandoned him as an actor. So the fact that he got him to show up at all was interesting. So that being said, um, I enjoy this movie for what it is. It's technically supposed to scare you of the aliens, but instead, it's the humans that are to me in the wrong, because we as a world, even if there was intelligent life outside this universe, we would destroy it before it even got to Earth. Just
Actually, yes. I think the aliens had very valid arguments in this movie.
so, but in any case, let us get into the plot line. So it begins with a funeral of a wife of an old man,
Oh, yeah.
and as the film progresses, that storyline of the old man, well, he ended up like still thinking about his wife, and from what it looks like, he walked off into the distance and got killed in a car crash or something like that. You heard a crash or something like that. Meanwhile, there is a flight of some sort in an airplane that has a pilot and his co-pilot, and they apparently seem to see a flying saucer in the sky, and they end up calling Mayday just because they see this fucking thing, and then apparently they have to set down, and later we are explained that they are not to. These pilots are not to say anything that they saw anything because this whole world around them seems to want to deny the existence of aliens in general. But there is also a second funeral that happens. So I'm going to give the floor to you guys. And what do you think about all that's happened and what's going on so far? Boris, what do you think about what's happening so far?
Well, this I will say this undead wife looked quite good.
Well, she, in fact, was a vampira, which apparently was the first horror host in real life, first horror host ever. And the first
Oh,
horror host hosting horror films was a female. So,
uh, actually, she did kind of have that vibe. Yeah, she reminded me of Elvira and Morticia Adams and women like those.
well, Elvira kind of stole Vampira's whole look. In fact, if I remember
Oh.
correctly, in the very beginning, Elvira was sued by Vampira for that
Wow.
because she pretty much like did it without asking permission or anything, like in the very beginning. So, but I think eventually it was settled or something like that. Tammy, what did you think about all that went on in this very beginning? What did you think about the old man and the story of the wife and the pilot seeing the flying object?
Well, the pilots seeing the flying object is a normal thing. They wanted to keep that hush hush. You know, I mean, we had known throughout history, even with like the Roswell, that that was that was a weather balloon. You know, they don't want to admit that there is, you know, anything. So of course, that wasn't a surprise when the pilots were said, "Yeah, nope, you didn't see nothing, right? Right? You didn't see nothing." You know, um, the wifey, well, you know, yeah, she she seems more like a trying to be a vampire walking around than anything. But
Well, as we find out, these aliens have come here in these flying saucers to for I guess for a long time they've been trying to communicate with the world and the world's governments, and when the government and the world decided to just shoot them down and enact violence for violence, they decided to reanimate the dead with electrodes and stuff like that. So first they go to the graveyard. Well, they knock out see. They show a little bit at the funeral. There are these grave diggers that are going to dig the graves for these dead people. and the dead people or the grave diggers are actually knocked out. I believe at the first reanimation of the woman, because the woman is the first one that they reanimate, I believe. And then I think they reanimate the well, yeah, I think they okay. There's a sheriff that goes and investigates the disturbance in the graveyard, and he's like this big hulking dude, and he gets killed by the woman, and I guess he's then found by his fellow cohorts, policemen, and we don't see the funeral for that dude, but his corpse gets reanimated, and I think that's actually the most coolest reanimation of like the three people that they end up reanimating with electrodes or whatnot, because he rises out of the grave and he's got these eyes that no longer are able to see, and he's just this big hulking monster.
True.
And I believe, if I remember correctly, Tor Johnson, he was in fact a wrestler at that point in time, like an ex wrestler in like the late 20s to early 30s, and he was another one that was like retired from wrestling, and that's why his name was a thing, Tor Johnson, you know. So, but yeah. What did y'all think about that creature that came out of the ground?
Oh, the reanimated detective.
Yeah, the reanimated detective.
Yeah, he was definitely a funny figure. Yeah, this giant monster. Okay, well, technically just a human body, but he was really huge and kind of treated like some beast in control of, to call it that way, bad guys. Although the aliens weren't really bad, if you ask me.
No, I don't think they were entirely that bad, because they didn't resort to violence until like the last straw, because they have an ulterior a motive. Apparently, what we find out later on is that the universe is under attack, or the universe needs help, you know, and they came to Earth for help. And what? How did we treat them? With disrespect, with violence, and things of that nature. I mean,
Isn't that what we actually do?
well, yeah, that is what we do in real life.
Yeah.
But in here, I believe we have the pilot sitting at home with his wife, and I thought this was interesting. He's technically not supposed to say anything to anyone about these flying saucers, and yet he's able to like talk to his wife about it. And the way he describes them describes it is this: he specifically states that he saw and witnessed flying saucers outside of the airplane, but then he describes it as a cigar-shaped object. I thought that was weird, because it's a flying saucer. How is it cigar shaped when he states it's a flying saucer?
Oh,
You know?
oh yeah, actually, when he mentioned the cigar, I was wondering if I had missed something or what, but I actually never saw anything that looked like a cigar.
Well, at the time that people started seeing UFOs and whatnot, oftentimes the statements of the people would be that they would see a cigar-shaped object. So in the sky, and I think the dialogue was just kind of going with some of the aspirations of what people thought the things looked like up in the sky in real life. So even though I don't think that Ed Wood was really thinking about okay, I had them say flying saucer and cigar shaped in the next sentence, and thought that people wouldn't think nothing of it, but later in life, we who actually think about the way things are said, I have to go back and think, he said flying saucer, but it's cigar shaped. Which one is it? Is it a saucer or is it a cigar? I mean,
Flying. Yeah, I
uh,
guess so.
I mean, what do you think about that, Tammy? Do you think that's kind of funny, the way the dialogue is?
Yeah, I do. I also think it's kind of funny that Bela Lugosi's character totally completely acts like a vampire, but he's not a vampire.
Oh yeah, which reminds me, we never found out why the old guy was dressed like Dracula.
I mean, yeah, he totally is dressed like Dracula. He totally acts like Dracula,
If I
especially
remember,
with what he does. What he does, especially with what he does with the cape and everything else. But he's not a vampire.
if I
Yeah.
remember correctly, Bela Lugosi was so drunk and so out of it that Ed Wood Jr. actually had to tell him to dress up like Dracula and shoot his scenes that way.
Interesting.
I mean, I know it's a little funny to think about it that way, but it's it's kind of sad that Bela Lugosi ended up the way he did, and the fact that he died during the filming of this. So,
Well, it does make this film a little bit more comical.
correct, it does. But in the same respect, a vampire is technically the undead. So you could think about it that way too. Technically, there is a fine line where some people used to call vampires the same word that is used for a zombie. So there was a fine line that people kind of just combined the two at one point in time, because technically the vampires were of the undead.
Yeah, but I mean, if this detective was resurrected in the same outfit he died in, that implies that the old guy was buried in a Dracula outfit, and we never find out why.
um, it was never said that he died in a Dracula outfit, but he definitely was reanimated wearing something similar. I mean, he did have a cape, but
Yeah.
he did not have a cape when we saw him at the funerals, So
The only thing that was ever said about his death was at the funeral, people were asking how come he was in the mausoleum and his wife was buried, and they said that it had something to do with tradition.
correct, but
That is like his family tradition or something as to why he was in a mausoleum and why she was buried.
we did find out that the aliens' mission was to originally capture some live humans in order to help them with their universal problem. but the live humans were not being helpful, and they were being more harmful than anything, even when they were just communicating with them. They didn't even give them a chance to explain. So, since they're not going to help them, the aliens have now, in retrospective, turned their ideas into, okay, if you're not going to help us, we're going to kill you because you're useless. You're stupid. So,
well, those people were trying to kill them, so you cannot quite blame the aliens, I would say.
but they seem to think that since the live ones weren't helping them, the dead ones, since they can't think, weren't going to say no to whatever they wanted with them. So I'm not sure how many that they were going to reanimate or whatnot, but I was assuming that they were going to make up some kind of an army so that they can take them back with them. You know, so they were only able to get the 3, and of course, you see a montage of the American forces firing at these 3 spaceships, and just no matter what, they didn't try to talk to them, even though they claim that they tried to speak with them back. One thing I do think that the aliens didn't take into consideration is that all the time that they were trying to communicate with us, we probably didn't have the chance to understand what they were trying to communicate, because it wasn't until like 3/4 of the way into the movie that we figure out that they have created this universal language machine, you know, to be able to understand everything that these aliens are speaking to us. You
Oh,
know,
true.
so that's one thing that I think the aliens didn't think about in their whole. Okay, we tried to come to them in peace, but they wouldn't even like acknowledge us. You know, acknowledge that we existed. You know, and
Yeah.
all that jazz. And they were getting angry by the moment that the governments weren't acknowledging their existence to all mankind as well. So when the government was trying to sweep it under the rug and tell their pilots that, you know, aliens don't exist, saucers don't exist, you know.
Yeah, right.
But what do y'all think about the aliens and their mission and what they're trying to do here on Earth? Tammy, what did you think about the aliens?
Well, if I remember right, the whole thing um, isn't it that um, uh, they're trying to prevent us from destroying the Earth with the
Uh,
things that we've come up with, technology wise? Isn't that it? Yeah, and that's why the aliens were trying to communicate with us to begin with, is because they're afraid that if that we're going to end up destroying other things in the universe, you know, as
Oh yeah, because
because of our
it,
stupidity, as they put it, you know.
uh,
because well, yeah, I believe in there were some intelligent things as said towards the end in that spaceship room that they were saying that okay, you created the atom bomb and the hydrogen bomb and we're scared that you're going to create the solar night bomb or whatever the fuck it was called, and they're like, there's no such thing. uh, and they went into explain the solar rays and the sun and all that jazz. Apparently they definitely knew more than what the Earthlings knew or anything like that. And all the men, human men in that room, all they wanted to do was just hurt them, before they even said anything. That's one of the things that I think portrays what humankind is during the 50s and even now. We're trigger happy. We're trigger happy on extinguishing the unknown. Extinguishing,
Uh,
it's,
pretty much.
I mean, it's the law of the land. I mean, it's kill or be killed. And when it comes to alien existence, to me, in these types of films.
But that's because of most of the portrayal of aliens and movies and everything else, that they're portrayed as that they are here to destroy us and to destroy the earth. So, that's why it comes across always that we're gonna be out to destroy them, because it seems like they're always portrayed to be out to destroy us. And unfortunately, if it's ever really proven that they do exist and that they have been here, most likely because of how they've always been portrayed, that's probably how we would react to them. Is shoot first, ask questions later.
Pretty much, actually. While I was watching the movie, I was surprised to realize that quote actually existed back then already.
So, but
But
the
yeah,
aliens themselves are they seem kind of, uh,
humanistic.
they call us stupid. They the ones that act stupid, but whatever.
Well, yeah. The electro gun didn't apparently work on Tor Johnson's character for a moment, and tried to strangle the one guy. And it's like, if these aliens were more intelligent than us, then their their weapons would probably not malfunction, that quickly. Also, I thought it kind of funny how the only way that they were able to control the big guy was by putting the gun on the dude and directing him, elsewise. But that might actually be a acting thing, because whatever they put on his eyes to make them look like they glow, he probably, as an actor, probably couldn't see that properly. So maybe they actually had to direct the big guy where he needed to go, in real life, I think. But there are things that are just laughable and enjoyable throughout, just because of the different things that happen, and the fact that, if these aliens were so smart, uh, why did they let the fight happen? Why did they let their spaceship catch fire, and why did they explode, and destroy themselves, at the same time? I mean, wouldn't you think that they would have found some way a way to like survive that if they were smarter than us?
Yeah, actually, that's a good point.
I mean, if they are far advanced than us, then why were we able to? Why were us humans, who are supposed to be so stupid, able to destroy them? You know, at the end.
Well, that's because their spaceships are being held up with strings.
Oh, nice one.
Yeah, that might be. Even though the metal seems like it's some kind of other metal or whatnot, but yeah, evidently, at the end of everything, I mean, this film is so straightforward. I mean, there's a lot of, I mean, the monsters themselves, I won't even consider them monsters. They were reanimated, supposed to be reanimated corpses. And one thing that I found interesting is that they never made a sound. They didn't growl. They didn't utter a thing. And I swear later on when that bigger guy, the reanimated detective, when he went to grab the woman in the car, I swear to God, they must have dubbed her screams in. Because her mouth wasn't moving, and yet she was screaming her head off. I don't know if you guys might have seen that or heard that. Or
What I don't get is she saw him coming. Why didn't she just lock the damn doors?
right? In the same instance, wasn't she and her husband and a general and another dude all standing while they saw that cop dude getting attacked by the old Bela Lugosi's character? Why were when it came up to them? Why were they all just standing there? Why couldn't they run? You know.
Oh, good
Right.
point.
That's another thing that doesn't make sense to me. They were all just
I thought
standing there.
about that too. I forgot about that from watching it before, but when rewatching it, I'm like, why are they just standing there? Okay, they see the cop firing at them, and it's not making a difference. By now, I would be like, I'm out of here.
I mean, the only one that seemed to do any kind of a running was the fucking cop. You know,
Uh,
I didn't see any of them do any running. Which oftentimes, when you watch these kind of movies, you will often see people running from a monster or something like that. You didn't see anyone do that.
The only person who ran from any of these was the wifey after Bela Lugosi's character came into her house. Other than that, it's like nobody ran from these things. She was the
Correct.
only one that ran.
Correct. So,
Oh, and the gentleman that picked her up when she was running. I guess technically you could say he ran because after he got her in his car, they took off. So I
yeah.
guess he kind of ran too.
Yeah. And of course, you have this a moment in the montage where there's a soldier speaking to his general, and he's like, "What? Why are we? Why are we just firing upon them? Can't we just talk to them?" And he's like, "Well, we attempted to talk to them, but then they decided to attack a town very near here. Here, so apparently they called the reanimation of those corpses an attack, but no one died. No one
uh,
was technically hurt. Did you see anyone hurt? Did you see
uh,
anyone die?
Not as far as I can remember.
I mean, the only people who died were natural deaths. It began with a funeral, and then of course, okay. So maybe the reanimated corpse of the woman killed the detective dude that eventually became a reanimated corpse. But that's the
Well,
only person who died.
the the grave diggers or whatever, those were killed. That's what started the investigation to begin with.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, okay, true.
Okay, so the grave diggers died. So did the detective, and those are the only people who died. But I guess any kind of a death would be considered an attack. So that just meant okay, total annihilation of these creatures. So, since they couldn't stop the deaths and couldn't figure out what was going on, so might as well kill the little green man.
Yeah.
Even though they can't exactly connect they are. I mean, how are they connecting the dots? You know, that the aliens were the reason why they're firing. These deaths are the reason that the whole world is at war with these aliens.
Yeah.
But at the end of everything, we do have all the three men showing up inside the spaceship, and they try to talk to them, but the talk doesn't seem to have any effect on the humans because they don't know how to think.
As it would be written in Pokemon games, it's not very effective.
Well, talking can be effective if it's conversed right. You know,
Huh, I
unfortunately,
guess.
I think because they are superior in intelligence, they instead of trying to negotiate a peace, they were more accusatory, which was more or less threatening to these men that came into this room, because they began to tell them about the solar night a bomb and all that stuff, and then telling them that and having that big guy go and grab the one dude's wife kind of was like a threatening move towards them. So they were on edge because of that and whatnot. What did you think about that part? Do you think he was trying to be peace? Do you think those aliens were trying to be peaceful?
Uh, well, I would say they probably would have been peaceful if they hadn't gotten shot at when they were just trying to communicate. But yeah, I guess they were. Their goal was to save the universe, if and they were trying to resolve the issues with Earth people by peaceful means, and if that didn't work, then they were ready to resort to violence, which kind of makes sense.
Well, yeah. On the one hand, they were there to ask for their help, but on the other hand, they were afraid of their advancements because of all the different weapons of mass destruction that they've been able to come up with. Because the next thing, which wasn't too far off, was the extinction of the universe, which could be caused by humanity and its uh, um, discoveries and whatnot, and the fact that we, we created the hydrogen bomb. It's not too far into the future that mankind. I mean, we've basically created all these weapons of destruction. It's very possible one day we could create something that could wipe us off out of this universe. You
Oh
know?
yeah. Although there is one scientific inaccuracy I noticed in this movie, the aliens are talking about our sun as if it was the only sun in the universe, and as if stars were something else, as if stars were not other suns.
Yeah, I believe that some of that scientific information was at least somewhat uh, accurate, at least at that point in time. I mean, this was 1957, so this is where science really kicked off. I mean, it wasn't that far away from when we had John F. Kennedy in our presidency, and he was one of the presidents that was pushing to have a race to the moon. I mean, for us to actually be the first ones to land on the moon. So I mean, I think it was a race because it was either us or the Russians, you know. So, um, but in any case, um, at the end of everything, we see, I guess, the aliens get in the fight with the humans, and then the thing starts on fire, and then of course we see it go up in the air, and then of course it explodes, and
Spudaw!
they have a moment where we have whoever's left there cast wise saying, okay, we know where they're gone, but um, there will always be someone else coming in their place, or something to that effect. You know, where you know uh, they think that even though those particular aliens are gone, there will be others. So,
Yeah. Although
but
I was, oh,
go ahead.
I was going to say I was a little sad to see these aliens die because I really didn't have the impression that they deserved it.
No, I don't think they deserved it myself. What do you think, Tammy? Do you think the aliens deserved that ending?
No, I guess not.
Okay. Alrighty, let's go into production. Tammy, what did you think about the production overall?
I guess for its time, it was pretty good, you know.
I thought there was a lot of narration going on that I don't think was entirely needed. Like you don't want someone to be reading to you entirely throughout like half of the film. I think. Did you realize that they were narrating some of it
Yeah.
Yeah, some of it.
as if the audience was stupid?
But I mean, I guess, I guess it was pretty decent, you know.
Okay. What what did y'all think about having like a radio announcer named by the name of Griswold, like announcing it, and then it ends with like a little bit of monologue with him? I thought that was an interesting thing.
Griswell. Does
What?
that name have some specific meaning?
Well, they do use the same name in the remake that I told you about. So, but I don't know. It's just the name of the radio announcer. So, Boris, what did you think about the production overall?
Well, for the most part, like Tammy says, I do think it was quite good for its time. The only issue I have with it is that they didn't even seem to try to make aliens look less human. Like, okay, I know back in 1957 we didn't have CGI, that they couldn't have made it perfect, but they could have at least given them some masks or something to make them look less human. I mean, they looked just like people in slightly unconventional clothes.
Well, there have been definitely several things that have, like, have you ever heard of V? V, they looked like humans. It was a mini series and a TV series in the, I believe it was the 70s, late 70s, early 80s.
What's it called again?
V, V, the miniseries, or V, the final battle, and
V.
V, the series.
Hmm.
There was a miniseries, a series, and then another miniseries called the final battle. And the Robert Englund, who played Nightmare on Elm Street, he played a comical alien on the series. But they looked like humans for the most part. But when they showed their alien parts, they transformed. So I think it's more scary if aliens are able to come to Earth and act exactly like us, and we cannot tell the difference, and then suddenly realize that there's an alien like right next to me. You know, I think it's kind of a cloak and dagger kind of a thing. So I for one wouldn't mind figuring out that these people are aliens, but me, I think aliens would be more terrifying if they actually looked alien. You know.
Yeah.
So, but I guess I'm okay with them looking like humans. I think that the wardrobe that they had could have been a little bit more, I don't know, flashy.
Possibly, yeah.
But it was interesting and entertaining for what it was. I mean, I don't think that the flying saucers were cigar shaped.
No.
I think they look like flying saucers to me. So I don't know why the cigar shaped thing ever came into existence in the dialogue. But I thought that for the look, it wasn't too bad in black and white. I'm glad it was black and white the way I saw it. Even though I know it's in color, I probably will not see it ever in color because I prefer black and white.
Yeah, okay, that's you.
I know it is me, but I prefer black and white, especially for this kind of film, because it was originally in black and white, and because it hides some of the the strings and the other things that you probably weren't supposed to see while it was on screen. But in any case, I think I enjoyed the sets for the most part. at the end of the day, it wasn't bad for its time period. Myself. So,
Ooh, I agree.
let's go into music. Did we want to cover music for a moment? Let's see who did the stuff for the music. Looking. Okay, music department. Looks like most of the composing music was from stock music, done by Steve Race, Van Phillips, Trevor Duncan, Bruce Campbell, and I guess there was a music supervisor by the Norn of Gordon Zeller. Let's see. Just seeing if any of these have anything. Okay, so I guess some of them were composers for some older 1950s films like Blood of the Vampire and The Tunnel of Love, and so on and so forth. So, let's go into favorite scenes and our favorite characters. Let's start with you, Boris. Favorite scenes and our favorite characters.
Oh, favorite scene? Well, I guess it would probably be this final encounter between aliens and humans where we got some spoof and things like that. Although I don't like how it ended, but while they were fighting, that was kind of cool. And I also liked the moments with Vampira's character and Bela Lugosi's character, as I like these dark costumes, as you probably know. Uh, yeah, and favorite character, it's actually kind of difficult to choose since no one really had that much of character development here. So I guess I'm gonna have to make a shallow choice and say Vampira's character, whatever her name was, if she had one.
Okay. Yeah, I do believe that she actually had. Let me look it up real fast because let's see. Her real name was Mela Nurmi. Well, that was her actress name, but I guess her original name was Mela Elizabeth Janemi.
Yeah, I get that. I meant I'm not sure if she had any name in the movie. Her character.
Oh, let's see. Let's look. Oh, looking. Oh, cast and crew. Cast. Okay, looking. Uh, ah, Vampire Girl as Vampira. That's what her and Bela Lugosi's character was Ghoul Man, and Tor Johnson's character, well, his was Inspector Daniel Clay.
Yes.
So let's see. Pretty sure that's what I thought. So most of Tor Johnson's professional life, he was a professional wrestler. He appeared in movies as early as 1934, and he was in 31 movies, usually as a weightlifter or a strongman. So he was in Road to Rio and Abbott and Costello in the Foreign Legion as Abu Ben. So, and earlier than this film, he was in Bride of the Monster, which was another Ed Wood Jr. Film. And then he reprised his role from Bride of the Monster in another a movie later that Ed did called Night of the Ghouls, which I wouldn't mind having us cover some of the rest of Ed Wood stuff. So, but Conrad Brooks, who actually played a police officer, he died not too long ago, but he was a strong contender for being a director of independent films. He was considered to be like Ed Wood Jr.'s protege, because he did some movies. He directed some movies of his own. So, but in any case, heading over to you, Tammy. Favorite character and/or favorite scene?
I think I like the airline pilot because, you know, he saw the saucer, and then he had to be quiet, and then it was bothering him so much, and so he finally gave in and told his wife, and then he was so concerned, and if he wouldn't have had um, had that phone call be made and woke her up, you know, she might have, she might not have gotten away, because she fell asleep. But he was so worried about her, and then here he goes, and he's with the taking on the responsibility with the military and everything. He just keeps stepping up to the plate to try and take care of the situation.
Well, yeah, I think he's one of the strongest characters, at least on the side of the humans, to be honest.
Actually, yeah, good point. I somehow forgot that.
My
At least
favorite scene, I don't know. I guess I just get a kick out of Bela Lugosi running around like he is a vampire, even though he's not a vampire. I mean, just watching him just do his thing with his cape and do this and do that and do that, and it's just like, but this isn't a vampire flick. What are you doing?
And the funny thing is, he's probably half out his mind in reality, and he's dying, while he's doing this. So I feel like Ed Wood allowed him to be exactly the character that he was inspired to be when he first started acting, and I feel like this director gave him the opportunity to, one more time put on the cape.
I remember hearing a story about someone, I think an actor, who was actually buried in a cape. Was it Bela Lugosi?
Not sure. But it would be interesting if his body was buried on Carpathian grounds.
Oh, yeah.
But in any case, I'm going to have to agree with you, Tammy. I do like the pilot, because they did. The director did at least flesh out a kind of a romance between him and his wife, even though it seemed to me like his wife was the actress who played his wife was just kind of just stating her lines without much, I don't know, oomph. I don't know. That's how I describe her dialogue. But As far as favorite scenes, I love it when Tor Johnson's character rises from his grave, and I do also get a kick out of the dialogue between the aliens and the humans. I mean, what the aliens were saying were actually truthful, um, of the humans, and I think that's why the humans were down for a fight because uh, they were fucking right, and it was a little bit comical and yet a little bit sad.
Yeah, he did.
But at the end of the day, I think that this is a movie where you have to decide which line, which people are you behind? Are you behind the humans or are you behind the aliens in this one?
Yeah.
Aliens versus humans. Even though we're human, were you rooting for the humans?
I know a person who used to be very much into the Alien franchise, and she was rooting for the xenomorphs. Yeah, so
I'm in this case because all the aliens really did was they showed up in their flying saucer, blinked their lights a couple of times, and the pilots decided to call Mayday just because they saw it, and then um, from what I understand, the aliens said that they were trying to communicate with them from the get-go, peacefully, to try to get their help. Whereas the Americans, they were saying, the humans were saying that, you know, it took them a while to create this machine where they could actually learn all the language and whatnot, and it's like the humans were scrambling to figure out everything, but before they could even understand what the aliens were trying to communicate with them, they reanimated the corpses and killed a couple of people to reanimate them, and that's what started this alien war. So, yeah. So I feel like even though the aliens came in peace, they killed, and they didn't realize that killing these people would cause that kind of reaction, and I don't think they took that into consideration. You know,
yeah, that's a good point.
but at the end of everything, did anyone else have anything else to add?
Mm, I don't think so.
Alrighty. Well, hopefully you ladies and gentlemen have enjoyed our discussion on Plan 9 from Outer Space. I know that IMDb gave this a really low rating. And Rotten Tomatoes, not that I give a shit about Rotten Tomatoes, they gave it a 66% rating. So that to me was a little interesting. Let's see, me personally, I don't consider a whole lot of people on Rotten Tomatoes anyone who actually watches the movies and gives them fair review points or whatnot. Half of them are either bimbos or people who don't even pay attention to the movies that they watch. So, but in any case, like, share, and subscribe. Let us know down in the comments what you thought of our discussion, or what you think of the movie, and we'll see you next time. Oh, I do believe it is your turn next, Boris. So what movie are we going to be watching next week? Are we going to be watching the one that you said?
Yes, actually, I would like to do this old Japanese TV movie, Ringu Kanzenban, or in English that would mean Ring the Complete Edition. For those who don't know, that's a TV adaptation of the same novel that this famous Japanese horror movie Ringu was based on. We did Ringu before, so now I would like to do Ringu Kanzenban, and then after that, I would, when it's my turn, I would like to do the rest of the Ring franchise.
Okay, sounds cool. So that would be Ring of Two, correct? Technically, in the series, or whatnot.
Actually, no. What we are doing now, this Ringu Kanzenban, that's a standalone movie. It kind of follows the same storyline as Ringu, but it's a more faithful adaptation of the novel than this classic Ringu.
So it's not on the Ringo set at all. It will. Where can
Uh,
people find it if they want to follow along with us?
They can find it on YouTube. It's available for free. Actually, there are two versions on YouTube, which I think were broadcast on two different TV channels. The differences are really small. One thing I know is that one version contains a nudity scene that was censored in the other version, but I think the other version also has some things that were excluded from this one that does have the nude scene. But yeah, back in the day when I was fanaticizing over the Ring franchise, which was in 2012, 2013, I watched only one version of Ringu Kanzen, but now I think for this discussion, I think I will watch both, but you guys can watch only one, and I
Now,
can.
does this have subtitles on YouTube?
It should have. Give me a moment. I will check just to be sure. But yeah, there should be. Wait, what the hell? Okay, sorry. Give me a moment.
Not a problem.
There should be both versions of Kanzen, but on this one channel, let's see. Uh, this one. Oh, go to hell.
Don't listen to him, ladies and
Oh,
gentlemen. Don't go to hell.
no, I didn't say to our audience to go to hell, but to my computer glitching. I'm sorry. uh,
Don't
uh,
listen to him, ladies and gentlemen. Don't go to hell.
yeah, please don't go to hell.
But
Uh,
in any case,
so,
everyone say good night.
yeah, there are both
Good
versions.
night.
Okay, good night.